you have that? Don't go to the editors and say this is a bargaining chip. This is what we want. This is what you should accept. You bring it to me, I will not sign. I will not sign it. But if you take it to Sludge adopts it. I am bound. I would not sign because the normal period should be 8 hours. Which journalist works for 8 hours? No. So if you want to put that in writing and hold me to it, I will refuse to sign. I will refuse. Let's look at it practically. I'm an employer. Forget about me being a member of the league. I'm an employer. The reporter has to cover Parliament from 8 o'clock. Parliament does not start till 10 or later. Then they continue up to 2 to 3. He begins to write his story in his 5 o'clock. He will continue to write his story because he knows that after 5 you have to pay him extra. So why should I agree to that? Given the way revenues are coming into newspaper, into media houses, it would be better for us to just close all the media houses. So as Reporters Union looks at this issue of salaries and conditions of service, be mindful of us, the employers. You said, Mama, because whereas the issue for reporters is mainly their salaries, it is this point. We don't only have to pay the reporters, we have to pay the taxes as well. There is income tax we have to pay. We have to pay NACIT. And remind you, even though we pay NACIT, when that reporter stops working for you, you have to pay the gratuity. So if you have a reporter working for you for 15 years, every 1 month, and you don't have the money, you have not kept this money in the bank, so it is difficult. We know in the newspaper world what happens. The Guild of Editors has given its list. The page is so and so. But when people know, they undercut it because they want it more. They think they want it more. You know? So these things happen. But, like I said, I'm not the fitted person to talk to all of it. This question about salaries When I came into the profession, of course, reporters were not being paid much. But I looked at my, I don't want to say I'm privileged or I'm blessed. But in the morning, whether it's correct to some people, I will eat that and go out into the streets. I know I will sit with my colleagues on the court bench till 11 o'clock. They have not eaten anything. 11 o'clock. All the maggots in here. All the maggots begin to ask. They begin to ask questions. If you continue like that, 2 p.m., your brain is back. Yes. You have to leave that. So what happens? They have to live, they have to survive. This salary comes at the end of the month. But how do I eat for the day for doing this job? No editor gives you money in the morning to say, go and buy the food, go there. So what happens? People have to find ways of finding money. You beg. My colleagues beg lawyers. My colleagues meet with people who have gone for litigation, offer them, don't worry, I will write that story for you. You know, the intention is not about being unethical. It is about survival. And this is how Kosti started. Yes. This is how Kosti started. Not that people wanted to be unethical, but I saw it. I experienced it. So this issue about salaries is not today. It's been with us for very long. And you know, coming from the home, there was nothing like adverts for newspapers. Nothing. Very few. The only adverts you have is the memorial. That is what we used to pray for. You know, so during that period, how could newspapers raise money to pay? So what editors used to do was to give you an ID card. And people would use this ID card to survive in both ethical and unethical. It is a question of survival. Survival. You know, so as I say again, I'm not the fitted person to tell you, because as you know, how to deal with this salary issue and all of that. But like I said at the beginning, I miss being a reporter. And if you're a reporter, I would leave your theme now and talk about something else. If you are a reporter, one advice I'd like to give you is, don't burn your bridges. Don't burn your bridges because you never know. Always maintain the relationship. During the war, there is what we call a working role. We used to go and drink beer in the afternoon, at the end of the day, in those places. I came to know a guy called Ali Kamara. Later during the war, he became spokesman for the AFIC, and we used to call him territorial integrity. He was my friend. Yeah. Now, like I said, we used to go and bring together. But let me fast forward a bit, and I'll come back to Ali Kamara. Like I said, when you reporter, some people go because some people enter the profession because of the money, because of the fame, because of the whatnot, the media visibility, blah, blah, blah. Now, well, for some of us, it was the adventure. It was adventurous. It would take you to different places. And so, during the war, ECOMOG came in. And ECOMOG had this commander, Colonel Kobe. This man was sitting in Lunge and giving interviews to BBC, talking about what he would do. And none of the journalists here thought it. Why don't we go and talk to this man? He's just over here. And the ferry was still rolling. So, I and a colleague, we boarded the ferry and we went over to Ruby. We went to the airport, we said we wanted to see Kobe. We were made to sit outside the airport because at that time no planes were flying. The place was just clear. Yeah. We were made to sit there until the evening. And by that, an army officer then came and took us in his jeep, started passing around with us. Later on, during curfew, we were taken to a different place where they sat down, they had some drinks, and then they said they had found somewhere for us to sleep. That was not our plan, to sleep there. We slept there. In the morning, they came for us and took us to the airport. And that was when we met this man called General Kobe. But perhaps because we had braved it and we are the first local journalists to go and meet him, we developed a bond, and it was very fruitful. So, he offered us breakfast, we spoke, we interviewed him, and he made a statement then to say that if I'm giving the order today, I will march into Freetown. He played out of the airways, and it became his signature to us. So, later in the day, he released us, and we were to go back. Coming back, we found out that the AFIC had declared that Lunge ECOMOG people, you stay there. We have declared our own sanctions, so the ferry could not move. We had to take one back, and it was raining. Seriously, you know, some of those things, if I'm asked to do them today, I would not. The background was water was coming in and all of that. And we built it, we came back to Freetown. When we got to Taipei, the rebels were there checking everybody. Me, I was not dressed properly. When I mean properly, I had on the short jeans trousers. So actually, they took me like one of the ragamuffins and I sleep. But this is all in being a journalist. You have to find ways to blend with your surroundings. These days, I admire those who are, I'm a journalist, I'm a this, that, brandishing their cameras and this, that. There are lessons. I'm not going to tell you about those lessons about some people who have been killed because they are doing just that. Now, so fast forward, I was arrested on August 18th. I was taken to, and the guys who arrested us took us to court. And I was locked up in a freight container. We spent the night there. And you know those freight containers are airtight. Man, before you count 10, I was covered all in sweat. Yeah. Now, the FRC Secretary General I had known from Jala because even though he was a colonel, he had done a degree in agriculture in Jala. Abdul was my friend. The PRO for the military, Major Milty, my friend. Those people could not write. Those people could not help secure our release. It was this broker who we called Ali Kamara, Security Integrity. That was the first thing he did as Vice spokesman to write and order our release. Colonel Sisi Abdul had told us, he said, look, if I allow you guys to go, those guys might come back for you and go to your home. It will not be nice. So I cannot write to this. It was Ali Kama, territorial integrity. For what he was worth, nobody respected him. But he was the one who was for us to be released. Relationship, maintaining. Fast forward, I got home. 2 days later, Kobe was calling my house number and saying, look, you don't have to stay here. Come over. Come over. And that's how I got to Ruby. And that's how we were taken to Guinea, came back. For one of this adventure, when we go to Guinea, I said I wanted to go and see where the Kamaijos are. They sing. And they took me there. And I was able to witness what they call a controller and how bullets balance that controller, that stick. General Kobe had the man near him as his guard was called Yerima. And this was one of the finest shots in the Nigerian army. And on this day, he was asked to fire at that thing. He was tied to the post. And he could not. And I asked him, Lima, what is happening? He said, look, have you played with two steel magnets, pistol force, moving one program? He said that it is. I never believed in all this talk about juju and this and that it was effective. But I saw it. But what do I remember Kobe most for? I was sitting in my office when somebody told me, when I went to the law court, and somebody said, hey, why are you here? Are you not witnessing the execution? I said, what? What execution? And I called out there. I went. I am the Tifori. We are the only two people with cameras. But because of my relationship with Kobe, none of the Nigerian soldiers prevented me from going close to the picture. And what journalism does, and what I love for journalism, is you always have the front seat to history. You have a front seat to history. And I was there to witness that. That thing has not left my mind up to today because of a few things. One, I have never witnessed an execution before in that style. And what was troubling for me was I knew the then commander, SFI Kuma, Johnny Bush's brother. I knew him very well. We were on first name basis. I knew Abu. I had interviewed Major Kula Samba because she was the first person to bring in child soldiers to try to move them out of the war to rehabilitate them. I had interviewed her several times. I knew most of them. And here was me standing and watching all this thing happening with my microphone. SFI Krugman, after he was called, he was walking to the states. I didn't say anything to me. She said to me, Kevin, find out this. Somebody I knew. I asked Abu whether I would say anything. But in fact, my attention was turned somewhere else. And it was his turn to come down to talk. He shouted my name, Kevin! See what you mean, Nigeria man? The wicked person, the bad person. I was stuck. But I insist. I was there. Journalism. What it means. The seats. The history. And that is where all of you stand. One day you're going to witness history. This job is not all about money, it's not all about fame, but it's about being true to the profession. It's about wanting to write that story. Years back, when I went to read what I had written, somebody had said to me, what you did in that newspaper was to transform me to that scene. I was not present, but I saw everything in my mind's eyes. Today, I'm not talking about the constitution. I'm not talking about salaries and conditions of service. But I want you to be that journalist that will transport me from where I'm sitting to the event that you are covering. Journalism is all about telling stories. It is all about telling stories. Whether you call yourself editor today or whatever, whether you call yourself journalist, you are basically a reporter. And you report. And that I think is what we should do. But we should not just do it. We should do it in a way that people would appreciate. Me, I don't care about those who believe that they must criticize the government, they must write all sorts of things and this and that. That is what you want. And go ahead. What I enjoy and what I want to see, I want to read the story that will transport me from here to where you are. If you do that, you will make our profession proud. We are already losing ground to those who call themselves bloggers. But if we must hold on to this profession and hold on to this work that we're doing, I think we must learn to do it well. Let us just be reporters. Leave the politics to politicians. Leave the politics to politicians. Become that reporter. Report that stuff. Be adventurous. Sometimes it is dangerous. Yeah, I love beating if you can't. Yeah, I went to cover a fire or whatever, a fire incident.